Chapter 9, The Transformation of Isabella Achebe. Nassau County, New York, offered the perfect blend of anonymity and opportunity. Its sprawling suburbs, lined with manicured lawns and upscale boutiques, seemed worlds away from the blood-soaked memories Alex McNeil had left behind on the high seas. The crisp autumn air was laced with the scent of fallen leaves, and as she stepped out of the yellow cab, she inhaled deeply, savoring her newfound freedom. This was her chance to start anew. Her metamorphosis had been as meticulous as any of her kills. The identity of Alex McNeil was dead and buried, literally. The documents, passports, and credit cards she had used to board the cruise were now ashes scattered somewhere in the Atlantic. In her place stood Isabella Achebe, a mysterious, elegant woman with a perfectly curated past. The first order of business was to change her appearance. She shed the extra weight that had clung to her during her years of indulgence, the soft curves that had lured so many men into her deadly embrace. She transformed her body with a ruthless regimen, hours at the gym, strict diets, and a cocktail of supplements to sculpt her frame into something leaner, harder, more efficient. Her once auburn hair was now a rich, obsidian black that cascaded down her back in sleek waves. Her skin, sun-kissed from her time in Ghana, had taken on a bronzed glow that perfectly complemented her new name. The scars she had accumulated over the years, tiny reminders of battles fought and lives taken, were hidden beneath expensive silk blouses and tailored pantsuits. To the outside world, Isabella Achebe was nothing more than a successful businesswoman, fresh from a lucrative stint in Africa's gold trade. But beneath the designer clothes and carefully constructed persona, the darkness still simmered. The bloodlust that had driven her for years was still there, pulsing like a living thing beneath her skin. She could feel it gnawing at her, a relentless hunger that demanded to be fed. But Isabella had learned to control it, to channel it into something more productive. She had to, if she was going to survive here. The gym encounter. It was at one of the exclusive gyms in the heart of Nassau County where fate decided to intervene. The place reeked of sweat and ambition, the air thick with the grunts of men trying to outdo each other. It had become her sanctuary, a place where she could push her body to its limits, each bead of sweat a small victory over the darkness within. As Isabella gripped the cold metal of the barbell, preparing for another set of deadlifts, a familiar voice cut through the clamor of the gym. Well. Isabella Achebe, as I live and breathe. She turned sharply, her heart momentarily seizing in her chest. There, standing before her in a perfectly tailored athletic suit, was Dr. Emmanuel Achebe. The doctor she had seduced on the cruise ship. The man who had promised her the impossible, a chance to see again. For a moment, she was tempted to flee, to disappear into the shadows once more. But then, she remembered who she was now, Isabella, not Alex. She had been reborn, and this meeting could be yet another step in her new life. So, she smiled, tilting her head just enough to show the practiced allure that had ensnared so many. Dr. Achebe, she purred, wiping the sweat from her brow with a towel. I must admit, I wasn't expecting to see you here. He chuckled, his dark eyes crinkling at the corners. Neither was I, Isabella. I thought you had vanished into thin air after the cruise. It was as if you disappeared. Isabella shrugged nonchalantly, her new, leaner frame subtly flexing as she adjusted her stance. I had some pressing matters to attend to. But it's good to see a familiar face. Emmanuel's gaze swept over her, and she could see the faintest flicker of interest there. It was different from the usual men who ogled her, his was a gaze that seemed to look deeper, to peel back the layers she had so carefully constructed. They exchanged pleasantries, their conversation fluid and easy, but underneath it, Alex, no, Isabella, could feel a tension building. A coiled spring, waiting to snap. I haven't forgotten about our conversation, he said, lowering his voice. About your condition. I've made significant progress in my research. If you're still interested, I might be able to help you regain your sight. A spark of something dangerously close to hope ignited in her chest, but she quickly snuffed it out. She couldn't afford to be distracted by promises of a cure. Not when she was trying so desperately to maintain her new life. "That's a very generous offer, doctor," she replied smoothly, her expression betraying nothing. "But I'm afraid I'm not the same woman you met on that ship. I've moved on." "Maybe," he said, his eyes narrowing as if trying to read the secrets hidden behind her dark glasses. "But some things are harder to leave behind than others." Suppressing the urge. As the days turned into weeks, Isabella settled into her new life with ruthless efficiency. By day, she attended business meetings, mingled with the elite, and built connections that would ensure her survival in this new identity. But by night, she found herself wandering the dark streets of New York, fighting against the growing urge to kill. The hunger gnawed at her, a relentless, insistent whisper that grew louder with each passing day. She found herself lingering outside seedy bars and clubs, her eyes hidden behind her sunglasses, scanning the crowds for prey. But each time she was on the verge of giving in, she forced herself to walk away. She had to stay in control. She had too much to lose now. Her sessions at the gym became more intense, each lift, each punch on the heavy bag a way to burn off the darkness that threatened to consume her. Emmanuel became a frequent presence, showing up at the gym unexpectedly, always with that same smile that promised more than he was saying. It was clear he was intrigued by her, and part of her was tempted to let him in. To let him see the monster that lurked beneath the surface. But she knew better. She couldn't afford to get close to anyone, not when the shadows of her past were still so close behind her. One evening, after an especially grueling workout, Emmanuel approached her once more. "You're torturing yourself," he said, watching as she pounded away at the punching bag. "Whatever demons you're fighting, they're winning." She stopped, her fists freezing mid-swing. For a moment, she was tempted to tell him everything. To confess the blood that still stained her hands, the lives she had taken, the darkness that still clawed at her insides. But then she remembered who she was now. Isabella Achebe, a woman with a new life, a new future. "I'm perfectly fine, doctor," she said, her voice like ice. "I don't need saving." Emmanuel's eyes lingered on her for a moment longer, searching for something he would never find. Then, with a sigh, he turned and walked away. As she watched him go, Isabella wondered if she was truly capable of change, or if the monster inside her was simply biding its time, waiting for the next moment of weakness. Because deep down, she knew the truth, the hunger would return. And when it did, she might not have the strength to fight it.